Hello, we're continuing with the laws of the Seder, and we are in Taf Ayin Gimel 473, and we're in the middle of Sif Aleph, and we're talking about the first cup of wine at the Seder, which is also the cup of Kiddush. So last time we read the Shulchan Aruch and some of the Mishnah Buras, and now we're going to start in Mishnah Bura Aleph. So we are on in the Mishnah Bura 473-1. Umevarech Shechianu. Just like every holiday, on Pesach, we make the bracha of Shechianu. We thank Hashem for bringing us to this day. And we make this at the beginning of every holiday. Kodem Shtia. Now we make this blessing before we drink the wine. Vimlo berach kodem Shtia. Now let's say you forgot to make the Shechianu. Very common. There's so many brachas to remember to make during the Seder, during Kiddush, that what if you forgot to say Shechianu? So the Mishnah Berurah says, the Shulchan Aruch said, Mevarech acher kach emasa sheyizkar b'yom rishon. He says you make Shechianu whenever you remember on the first day of Pesach. So Shechianu doesn't, we make the bracha of Shechianu on Kiddush, on the cup of wine, but it doesn't have to be in the cup of wine. So let's say if you're walking to shul on the first day of Pesach and you remember, oh, I forgot to say Shechianu at the Seder last night. So you just make a Shechianu where you are, where you're standing. Vafilu be'emtza shuk, it says, even in the middle of the marketplace. The hazman a regal koi, because the blessing of Shechianu goes on the holiday, not on anything else. Vim nisker belel sheni la'achar shekidush hayom yiftaratz b'Shechianu sheivarach al kos la'achar hakiddush. Now let's say you just remember on by the second Seder already, then you'll just count that Shechianu that you're making on the first cup on the second night of the Seder. Let's say you forgot to make Shechianu on the second night of Pesach. Even if you already made a Shechianu on the first night. So the first night of the Seder, you remembered to say Shechianu. But the second night of the Seder, you forgot to say Shechianu, because remember on the first two nights of Pesach, we make a Shechianu, even though the second night isn't the first night, right? Usually I say the first night because it's a Sveika Dioma. We're not sure if the first night is the real night, the first night of Pesach, or the second night because of the when Rosh Chodesh was declared. So let's say you made a Shechianu the first night, but forgot a Shechianu the second night. You make a Shechianu whenever you remember during the holiday. Meaning even the last day of Yom Tov. So let's say it's the 8th day of Pesach, and you remembered on the second Seder, you forgot to make a Shechianu. Even though you made a Shechianu on the first night, you should still make a Shechianu on the 8th day of Pesach, wherever you are. And that is the rule of every holiday. If you don't make a Shechianu at the beginning, for the second day of Yom Tov, then you make a Shechianu anytime you remember it during the holiday. Okay, so that's the law of Shechianu. Now let's say, V'imchal b'Shabbos, Omer vayechulu. Now let's say Pesach falls on Shabbos, which I believe this year it does. So before Kiddush, you say vayechulu. Right? Vayechulu is the paragraph that we say before Kiddush every Shabbos, where we testify that God created the world and rested on the seventh day. That's why some have the custom to say it standing, specifically that part, and then sit during Kiddush, but they stand during the Vayechulu part, because Vayechulu is a testimony. We're testifying to the fact that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, and when a person gives testimony in Bezdin, in a Jewish court, they have to stand. So b'Shabbos, umutar lomer ha'agara b'sefer av shehu b'yechidi, v'lo chashin shemiyatek mevor le'el simrishan hey sif tes. So one is allowed to read the Haggadah on Shabbos from a book, even if he's by himself. Now, why is he saying that? The reason he's saying that is because sometimes one is prohibited to learn to read a book on Shabbos in front of a candle, because he might add oil to the candle or move the candle around to make it burn better, and we're not worried about that in this case. Okay, now if Pesach is on Motzei Shabbos, on Saturday night, which I believe this year the second night, don't hold me to this, I believe it's the second night of Pesach is on Saturday night, so then you have to make Havdalah, because Shabbos is ending, but we're in the middle of the Seder, so how do you do that? So you say Omer Yak Nahaz. Yak Nahaz is the order of Kiddush and Havdalah combined. We do a combined Kiddush and Havdalah. So you have Yayin, which is first you make the blessing of Bori Pri Hagafen. Then you say Kiddush, which is the blessing sanctifying the day. Right? Mekadesh Your Mekadesh Yantiv. And then Ner, you make the blessing on the candle, the Havdalah candle. Havdalah is the blessing of Havdalah, of Hamavdu ben Kodesh L'chol. And then Zayin Zman is Shehechianu. You make Shehechianu. Dehainu, Betchilas Birchas Hayayin v'Kiddush V'Ner. Dehainu Birchas Borim Ha'Reish. Havdalah Zman, like you said. Ve'ein Mefarkin Al Masom. We don't make a blessing on the spices. B'chol Motzi Shabbos Liyantiv. Every Motzi Shabbos Liyantiv. Ve'omrim Havdalah Zu Miyushav K'mo Kiddush. And this Havdalah, you have to say when you are seated, just like you do by Kiddush. Okay, and we will stop here for the day, and next time talk more about Havdalah on the first night of the second night, or the first night, wherever it comes out, the first or second night of Pesach. Have a great day.